Yeah. Yep. All right, we'll just step back while Doug plays it for you one time.
Good morning. Welcome to the UU Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. We are delighted that you could join us for this service. Our mission at Sunnyhill is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Rebecca Senaway, and I serve as a worship associate for this congregation. If you're a newcomer or a visitor to our congregation, please go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says New to Sunnyhill to receive more information about our congregation and to sign up for our weekly email newsletter. Also, if you'd like to be greeted as a newcomer after the service, please take a red mug and members will seek you out to make sure that you are warmly welcomed. If you're joining us online today, please say hello or good morning in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. We'd like to hear from you and extend a welcome to you as well. We welcome children of all ages to our service. For quiet play, we have a children's area here in the sanctuary. For louder activities, we have a nursery just outside the corner entrance to the sanctuary. We also have a comfort room accessible through the back hallway from which you can hear and see the service. And a gentle reminder to everyone to please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices so we can enjoy the service uninterrupted. Our guest speaker today is Sunnyhill member Carlos Alvarez, who recently completed the sermon writing course taught by Reverend Jim McGaw. Carlos's sermon, entitled Losing Eden, is based on his personal experience of immigration and assimilation, and is a reflection on his experiences relevant to current conditions in the United States. Our opening words were written by David White. Let my history then be a gate unfastened to a new life and not a barrier to my becoming. Let me find the ghosts and histories and barely imagined future of this world, and let me now have the innocence to grow just as well in shadow or light, by what is gifted in this land as to the one to which I was born. Please join me in saying the words to light our chalice. We light our chalice as a welcoming beacon for all who are searching in body or in spirit.
We're singing in Spanish this morning, and the choir is going to help us out. So the song that we're going to sing might be a familiar one. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. But repeat after me. De ti yo recibo. A ti te doy. Así compartimos. Y vivimos hoy. Please rise and body your spirit as we sing this one together. There we go. Now you can stand. Here we go. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy, así compartimos y vivimos hoy. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy, así compartimos y vivimos hoy. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy, así
Good morning, friends. Our story today is called Mommy, Am I American? And the kids will be staying seated with their families, and the pictures are going to be behind me on the slides. Mommy, Am I American? By Ayla Malik, illustrations by Dawood Marion. Mommy, am I American? Let's make sure these change. There we go. Mommy, am I American? Yes, son, you were born on American land. Mommy, is Nazir American? He was born on Pakistani land. Yes, Nazir and his family became Americans when they promised to be a part of America and protect its values above every other place in the world. But Mommy, what are America's values? Oh, my child, America is the land of dreams, where people are free to make their own choices about who they are and who they want to be. It is a place where Lady Liberty welcomes the world to show how accepting and strong our people are. America is a place where everyone, no matter the color of your skin or who you love, what job you have, or who your mommy is, everyone is equally important. America reflects and believes in the spirit and the voices of its people. The boy shrugged his shoulders and said, "Oh, I thought Nazir was Muslim." "Son, Nazir is Muslim, and he is American. But Nazir has brown skin, and his mommy dresses in clothes with too many colors." "Yes, Nazir is brown skin, and he is American. Nazir's mommy may wear different clothes, but what we wear and how we look doesn't make us more or less American." "Mommy, what about Fernandina? She said she came here when she was a baby." "Fernandina has been in school with you for a very long time, and her works very hard for America. Even if people say that she is not an American on paper, she has an American spirit, and America will protect her." "I don't think so, Mommy. America is going to build a wall so that Fernandina can't see her other family in Mexico. Yes, even the idea of a wall is sad, but walls cannot separate people's care and love for each other," said Mommy. "But if you are sad about building walls, do you still love America?" "I love America, but I don't always like the choices that our leaders make. Just like I love you, and I don't always like your choices," said Mommy. Mommy took a deep breath and continued, "We have to share our voice when we don't like a choice that American leaders are making. There are lots of people, like judges, activists, and community helpers, who can help keep America the land we love." The boy looked over at Mommy and saw her teary-eyed. "Mommy, why are you crying?" the boy asked. "Son, I love the vision of America as a place where everyone has a chance to live a good life and be the best that they can be. So many people gave up so much to move America closer to that dream. You have learned about many of these people at school. Our presidents like John F. Kennedy, Abraham Lincoln, and Barack Obama, and community leaders like Sacagawea, Harriet Tubman, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, and Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, just to name a few. But so many more people that you will never know have been doing the same, like the original Native people whose land was taken to build America, and the brave men and women soldiers who fought for American values. Sometimes my heart hurts for America, because it hurts for so many people who feel far away from that dream." The boy hugged Mommy. "I'm hugging you from America," he said. Mommy smiled and said, "What a beautiful thought." The boy hugged Mommy for a few minutes, and then he said, "Does America love me?" Mommy thought about the question and replied, "When you stand up for American values, for the voice of all people, then you are showing your love for America. When you show you care for people who are different from you, you are loving America. When you show gratitude for what you have and kindness to those who have less than you are loving America. And when you say thank you to people who give up spending time with their families to help our community and protect our freedom, then you are loving America." Mommy took a deep breath, and then she continued very slowly. "When you show your love for America, you will feel her love for you in return." Without saying a word, the boy stood up, got out a piece of paper and a pen, went to the dining table, and started writing. Mommy called over to the boy and asked, "What are you doing?" "I'm writing a note to Nazir, and then I'm going to write one to Fernandina." "Oh, really? What are you going to say?" "I'm going to tell them that I care about them, and I want to learn more about their cultures, and I'm going to hug them from America." Mommy smiled. "Son, that is truly American." The end. And with that, we will sing our kids to their art class.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Your love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go.
Good morning. My name's Terry Alvarez, and I'm a member of Sunnyhill's Pastoral Care Team. We're here to support you if you're going through a crisis, comfort you when you are grieving, support friends and family involved in caregiving, maintain contact with those unable to attend church due to illness or disability. We will sit with you when you are in need of a listening ear, one that listens without advice and reminds you that you are not alone. So, should you have a need, reach out to a member of the pastoral care team. If you have questions, contact Reverend Jim or a member of the team. You can submit a joy or a sorrow on Sunnyhill's website or by filling out a form in the foyer. After each joy or sorrow that I read, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." I have a joy from Bethany Thornton. Bethany isn't here with us this morning because she and Finn, along with Sunnyhillers Jay Pullen and Wyatt Broaded, and several other scouts and leaders, are on a week-long adventure aboard a sailboat in the Virgin Islands. Finn got a thumbs up from his doctor and got his waterproof cast on 2 days before departure. For Bethany and Finn and for the Sunnyhillers and all of the Cubs, all the Scouts that are on the sea adventure, we hold you in our hearts. I have a joy from Pam Bice. She's offering an update on the kidney transplant and donation in her family. All recipients and donors are doing well. For Pam and her family, we hold you in our hearts. I have a joy from and a sorrow from the social justice team. Postcarding to get the vote out at Sunnyhill has been extremely successful. We have already received 3,000 postcards for the November elections. However, on July 13th, postage increases, and some of our members need assistance with the cost. If you can help defray that cost, please come to the table set up in Fellowship Hall after the service today. Thank you. To the Social Justice Committee and to all our letter-writing community, we hold you in our hearts. I have a joy and a sorrow from the Alvarez, our joy that all of you, along with our children and grandchildren, both here and watching online, are able to share in the story that has hummed, drummed, and strummed in the background of our family's life over many years. We have long appreciated the richness and depth that those from diverse backgrounds and cultures bring into our lives on a daily basis. Our sorrow that not all immigrants have been as lucky as Carlos has been. Our hearts go out to all those men, women, and children who were forced to leave their homelands in search of a better and safer life and are now struggling to build that new life while in exile. For all those immigrants, and in recognition that no human being is illegal or deserving of inhumane treatment, we hold you in our hearts. As we listen to our musical meditation, we invite anyone who feels moved to do so to come forward, light a candle, place it in the sand, and return to your seats.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart
Please join me in the spirit of meditation. There are many forms of exile: political exile from one's home, moral exile from one's values, a spiritual exile from one's most authentic self. Let us take a moment to reflect on people who are in exile, away from their land and their home. Let us also remember those in a spiritual exile, so they can follow the voice that calls them to their home. May we reach out to those in exile. May we welcome all who are strangers in a strange land. And may all who are in exile find a home. May it be so. Good morning. If anyone had told me 63 years ago that I would be living in Pittsburgh and attending this congregation, I would have told them that they were out of their minds. I was born and raised in a small town located in the north central part of Cuba, and I left my home country in 1962. Of course, I was familiar with the United States. I had an uncle that lived in Philadelphia, and I knew about towns like New York and Chicago. But Pittsburgh, well, one can never predict how life will turn out. That is something that thousands upon thousands of immigrants can tell you. This is my story. On the morning of April 9th, 1957, we were trying to solve the math problems that our teacher had set up for us to work on. The rector of our school pulled our math teacher into the hallway for a private conversation. Shortly afterwards, he addressed us in a grave and tense voice, announcing that the school was going to close for the day, but it was imperative that every one of us get home as quickly as we could. With a mixture of elation and worry, we packed our book bags, got on our bicycles, and pedaled home. To me, we looked like a giant swarm of ants spreading out to different parts of the city as we wonder what lay ahead. Cuba had been in turmoil following Batista's coup in 1952. There was a rebel force led by Fidel Castro battling the government. A general strike had been called for April 9th that was largely ignored by the general population, but to our disbelief, our small town was targeted by the insurgency for a siege and takeover. There was no one at home when I arrived, as my mother had gone to get groceries as soon as she had become aware that there was going to be conflict and turmoil. When she returned, it was difficult for her to disguise her feelings of worry and concern about our situation. But upon seeing me and my sister, I could feel the palpable tension leave her body. My father, who was a physician, was at the clinic, and he called to inform us that he was going from the clinic to the hospital, but would stop by to see us soon. We did not hear from him for about 3 hours, adding to the uncertainty and uneasiness that we felt, and were relieved when we finally got a call from him. Apparently, he had come across a bus driver who had been shot, and with the help of passerbys, put him in his car and drove us straight to the hospital, and then went directly to the operating room. I still remember looking at the car and seeing the remnants of blood that we were never able to remove. My mother put mattresses on the floor in a room with a very small window. This is where we stayed for the next 2 days. as the sounds of gunfire and explosions could be heard around us. The police station, which was about a block away, was under attack. Machine gun fire ricocheted against our house and, at some point, hit our water tank. In one particularly nerve-wracking moment, my mother left us to go to the basement to stop the water pump from burning out. Needless to say, I had many nightmarish dreams during those 2 nights. Falling into dark waters where the fear of sharks was ever present. Dystopian places with a barren landscape and wounded people populated my dreams. The siege of my town lasted 2 days, as the rebels, overwhelmed by the government forces, had to retreat, and the government took control. We went back to our classrooms and resumed our math problems from 2 days before, resuming a level of normality that seemed absurd considering what we had just experienced. Some people we knew had been killed during the uprising, and we mourned for them, and we continued to live our lives. But something had changed, and we could not trust that life will ever be the same. The image of a world that was stable and certain had given way to a world in which chaos and violence seemed to prevail. Let me back up a little bit and give you some history. Fulgencio Batista was the president of Cuba during my early years. His regime was corrupt and oppressive, and the Cuban people wanted change. Cuba held elections in 1952, and Batista was defeated in the general election, but since he was the head of the military, he disregarded the results and engaged in a coup d'etat. In the mid-1950s, a new revolutionary movement began to emerge in the mountains of Cuba, led by Fidel Castro. Over the next few years, the fight against the government was brought to different towns throughout the country. The situation was unsustainable, and eventually Batista fled Cuba in New Year's Day, 1959. There was a great deal of excitement and elation about a new government that would establish democratic principles and be more transparent. As I recall, very shortly after the new government was in power, my father expressed his concern about the direction that Castro was taking. The winds of change brought a lot of hateful rhetoric, followed by suppression of any dissent and the eradication of freedom of the press. Either you were for the government or against it, and in a very short time, the country became very polarized. If you were against the government, you were a worm or a vermin. Does that sound familiar to you? Many Cubans had left the country in the early 1960s, and there were rumors all through the island that an invasion was going to topple Castro. That invasion turned out to be the Bay of Pigs, which was a total disaster in its execution. Very shortly after that, I began to hear first faint rumors and later more heated discussions between my parents coming from the room next to mine. It puzzled me at the time, but for a few months I continued to do my work in a school and play with my friends. One day my parents sat my sister and me down and asked us how we feel if we were to be sent out of the country. Initially I was excited about the prospect of leaving, but as the time approached, the reality of the situation came into focus. I would be living by myself, as my parents would stay behind, and my sister and I would be traveling separately. I would be moving to a different country where I did not know anyone and where they spoke a language that I did not. My father, who was close to 60 years old, did not feel that he could come to the United States. He did not speak English, And due to this and his age, he felt that he would not be able to get his medical license. He did not want to be a burden. My mother felt that she needed to stay with him. Many years later, when she was asked what she regretted most in her life, she answered that she wished that she had left with us. It took about a year to process the paperwork. And in April of 1962, when I was 14 years old, I was given permission to leave the country. I was notified by telegram, and I had 3 days to get everything together for the trip. That was the moment when reality struck. I did not want to leave my friends, family, and my country, and I could not fathom the uncertainty that awaited me. I felt a mixture of anger, relief, resignation, and acceptance about the fate that was thrust upon me. At daybreak on the day of departure, I was rushed into a room at the airport called the Fishbowl. The people living were in a room enclosed by glass, and those left behind could look through the glass at us. That was the last image that I had of my mother for many years, trying to slow time down so we could have a few more minutes of connection. I felt a sense of doom and despair. We got the call to board. Walking to the plane, I felt as if I was engulfed in humidity and heat and wanted time to stop. The world felt unreal and distant and strange. I had never flown in a plane before. I was overwhelmed, feeling very much alone, and facing the uncertainty as to what was to come. It was a hard early lesson as I began to understand the complications that life can present. There I sat with the knowledge that life is confusing and the uncertainty as to how mine would unfold. I spent my first 3 months in Miami where I was shuffled between distant relatives that you only think about when you're in a desperate situation. Then, in August, one of my aunts came and we relocated to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where she set up an apartment with me and one of my cousins. Those early months were difficult as I was overwhelmed by the change of language and culture. The pace of life was so much faster. Everything seemed so big and vast. I had come from a small town of about 30,000 people, where the primary means of transportation was by bicycle. I started grade 9 along with my peers. Although I did not know the language, there was no ESL at the time. So I spent the first few months of that school year in my own thoughtful cocoon, since I was unable to communicate with others. I felt like a fish out of water, trying to understand what had happened, and nothing made sense to me. I was struck, however, by the kindness and helpfulness of the people that we met. They seemed to sincerely welcome us and help us navigate the system. That had been how we had always perceived the United States and its people, helpful and kind. We set up our apartment and were given assistance. We received a lot of peanut butter and jelly and a lot of cheese. And I moved on with my life. I learned English, graduated high school, went to college and medical school in Spain, set up a medical practice, and created a family. I did not see my parents for 17 years. During all those years, I had only scant communication by letter and an occasional phone call. The letters were censored, so we had to be very careful as to what was written. In 1979, Castro, in need of foreign currency, began to allow exiled Cubans to go and visit relatives that had stayed behind. I was able to go for 1 week. The country felt as it had been frozen in time. It was a surreal experience, and I felt both great joy and great sadness. It felt strange to be able to see and talk to my parents again, these two people that had raised me until age 14 and that had almost completely disappeared from my life for 17 years. The week felt compressed, and I experienced an acute awareness of having lost so much of our lives together. The ravages of time had taken a toll on them. I gained a deeper understanding of what a loving act it had been to send me away. It was difficult to leave them once again, not knowing if I would ever see them again. My parents were able to come to the United States in 1981. It allowed us to be reunited again. Exile, at times, has been difficult. I had an idea as to what my life that was going to be and the path that it was going to take. And suddenly, I found myself in a totally different paradigm. The early years were particularly difficult, but they were sustained by the feeling that my parents had sent me to the United States out of love and a heartful interest in my well-being. As I have reflected through the years, and especially after I became a parent, I came to more fully appreciate how difficult it must have been for them. They lost so much. As I age, I continue to feel the bond between us that has sustained me throughout all these years. When I speak with old friends who were not able to leave when I did, I can help but compare the opportunities I have had with the limitations present in their lives. And I am truly grateful because my parents' sacrifice allowed me the opportunity to live a much fuller and more expansive life. As an immigrant, I am not alone in feeling that I live between two countries and that I do not completely belong to either. I could not live in Cuba now because too much has changed in me. The United States is my country now, a land that I call my home, even though there's still a longing for Cuba. But I accept that my sense of home will always be complicated and bittersweet. Currently, the political winds in the United States have shifted, and instead of the welcoming attitude and generosity that I encountered when I came, and which made all the difference to my building a successful life, the same hateful rhetoric that presented in Cuba in the 1950s fills the air here. Once again followed by suppression of dissent and the eradication of freedom of the press. You're either with the government or against it. If you're against the government, you're either a worm or a vermin. It is all very familiar to me. I often wonder about timing in life. Reading in the newspaper about all the current immigrants that are being deported to their home countries, where they will surely experience persecution and imprisonment. I can't help but wonder, what would have happened to me if those were the conditions in 1962? For I could be that immigrant if circumstances were different. I am fully aware that there's a human being to each of these stories, just as I am also aware that they are me and I am them. Thank you.
We're going to sing Guantanamera, which is based on a poem by Cuban poet Jose Marti, who was a political activist. It's a song that's sort of become the national song of Cuba. It speaks both of the physical beauty of the country as well as being a statement of solidarity with poor people everywhere. Before I mangle the Spanish, I wanted you to hear how it's supposed to sound as read by Carlos.
Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma, y antes de morirme quiero echar mis versos de alma. Mi verso es de un verde claro y de un carmín encendido. Mi verso es un ciervo herido que busca en el monte amparo. Con los pobres de la tierra quiero yo mi suerte echar. El arroyo de la sierra me complace más que el mar.
Thanks, Carlos. Those words, translation roughly means, I am a truthful man from the land of the palm tree. Before dying, I want to share these poems of my soul. My verses are light green, but they are also flaming red. My verses are like a wounded fawn seeking refuge in the mountain. With the poor people of the earth, I want to share my lot. The little streams of the mountains please me more than the sea. Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, oh Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma, y antes de morir me quiero echar mis versos de alma. Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera. Mi verso es de un verde claro y de un carmín encendido. Mi verso es de un verde claro y de un carmín encendido. Mi verso es incierto que busca en el monte amparo.
Free to sing along.
Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera. Con los pobres de la tierra, quiero yo mi suerte echar. Con los pobres de la tierra, quiero yo mi suerte echar. El arroyo de la sierra me complace más que el mar. Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera. Once more, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera.
Our Share the Plate beneficiary for the month of July is UU Justice PA. whose mission is to pursue justice by voting, advocating, and making just public policies. UU Justice PA is working for real change for real people. Contributions help sustain the fight for justice for all in Pennsylvania. You can make a gift online on our website or by text at 412-324-3130. We'll be passing our offering baskets for cash and checks in just a moment. If you're writing a check, please make it out to UUCSH and put "share the plate" in the memo line. As we listen to our offering music, we will also see a slideshow from Carlos with images from his childhood, as well as pictures from a more recent visit to Cuba. Our closing words were written by Antonio Machado. Traveler, your footprints are the path and nothing more. Traveler, there is no path. The path is made by walking. When you walk, you make the path. And when you look back, you see the path that you will never see again. Traveler, there is no path, only wakes in the sea. Go in peace.